Hey guys, what's up? My name's Chopper. I hope you guys are having a great day, and today, guys, is going to be a little bit of a different video. I just need to sit down and talk for a bit to you guys about something PUBG has kind of messed up. This is the biggest problem that PUBG is currently facing, and I think that we're going to discuss it a little bit today so we can figure out what's going on. And also, before we get started, I think it's important that you know that the point of me making this video is not out of like hate for the game or in any way whatsoever. In fact, it's quite the opposite. It's out of love for the game because as I want the best for it. And we can't have what's best for the game if we don't discuss the faults that are at hand. So that being said, make sure you keep that framework in mind as we go throughout this video. And if you agree with any of the things we discuss in this video, or if you end up enjoying it, then I really appreciate a like rating. And I know it's kind of weird to ask for a like before you watch a video, but the way that the YouTube system works now is that if you guys aren't engaged with the video quickly, then it's instantly going to think that you don't like the video. So unfortunately, that's how it has to be. So you might remember a couple of months ago, we discussed on a video about something that is a very similar topic. We talked about how like basically PUBG was in a spot where they couldn't make new maps. They couldn't afford to. And when I mean that, it doesn't mean they couldn't afford to when it comes to the budget, because they have more than enough resources to make new maps. They couldn't afford it when it comes to like the player base. The way that the matchmaking was currently set up at the time just didn't allow for extra maps for people to play on. Otherwise, nobody would ever be able to find games. And that's slowly starting to creep back up into another problem that we're having. But I think the matchmaking issue and people not being able to find games in certain regions is only like the surface level problem. And this kind of affects more regions than others. So you watching this video, depending on what you play on and where you're watching, this could affect you a lot. This could not affect you at all. But the main problem in essence is that people are having a hard time finding games consistently, finding all the maps they want to play. And right now there's too many matchmaking options for there to be one cohesive kind of playlist. That was essentially the point that I was getting at in the last video, is basically that there's just too many different ways to play in PUBG right now, and it divides the player base, spreads it way too thin, meaning that most people cannot find games, or at least they cannot find them very quickly, or if not of high quality. But after the most recent patch on PC giving us an option for like a featured map and then like a random map playlist, I thought that that was going to be like probably the best case scenario for us, but I don't think that that's the solution either. And in fact, it made me think about it a little bit more, and I think there's an even deeper problem. Now what we're about to discuss is going to happen to PUBG at different rates depending on what you play on. If you're a PC player, it's probably going to happen quickly. Console, probably pretty quickly as well. Mobile, quickly, but maybe not as fast. But I think eventually, unless something changes, it's going to happen to every platform no matter what. No matter if it takes like 3 years or whether it happens tomorrow, it doesn't matter. The problem here isn't necessarily the matchmaking. That's certainly a part of it, but that's only like the surface manifestation of the problem. The deeper problem here is basically what happens to the PUBG player base over time, and then how it treats incoming new players. Now, this isn't necessarily a fault of PUBG in itself, and I'll explain that why in a minute, but essentially what's happened to Battlegrounds over the past, I would say, year, maybe year and a half, is the player base has slowly condensed down into like a very small group of like veteran elite players that play all day, every day. And then the more that time passes, it continues to weed out like the more like casual players or people who don't play quite as often. And then for casual players or people who are just incoming and brand new, it's going to be absolutely brutal for them to get started and really catch up to the skill gap that all of the, veteran players, that small group of players that are on every single day are already at. And what's interesting is it seems like that cycle never stops, right? The player base will just continue to eat itself with further and further divisions of like really elite players until eventually it's all just like completely MLG sweaty lobbies. There's nobody to fill these lobbies to begin with anymore. And that's a huge problem. Now, let me make this absolutely crystal clear. This is not a problem just specific to PUBG. If you look at basically every other single battle royale, they're experiencing this as well. Fortnite has this thing where it's essentially impossible for you, if you just started today and you never played the game before, if you wanted to catch up and become a good player, you're just too far behind. And to some degree, that's true with every single video game in general, but battle royales specifically, as there's a huge skill gap in most of them, and it makes casual players very either discouraged or just not want to play at all. So if the player base of all of these games are going to continue to eat themselves without like an additional new set of players coming in to refresh it, then eventually the game would die. Now, a lot of these sweaty armchair neckbeard critics are going to say, dude, PUBG's already dead, lol. But as a content creator, I'm very interested in these things, keeping track on numbers for every video game, and especially the BR community. And what I've realized is that PUBG, of course, has had its ups and downs when it comes to player population, relevancy, that sort of thing. But it's basically outlived every other BR that's came after it, right? Apex Legends came and went, to be honest, and Blackout, the exact same thing. It was popular for a while, but this has really outlived when it comes to average numbers all of these BRs. The only thing that's clearly beating out is Fortnite. But that's what I find weird about PUBG specifically, because of its like player count, quote unquote, depending on where you look. Like, you could say that it's a dead game, but if you look at the numbers numbers when it comes to viewers for a lot of streamers, the views that content gets when they post it on their channel, and just the overall relevancy of Battlegrounds right now when it comes to Google search trends and stuff like that, it's still pretty high up there. But yet, despite that, still for some reason, people on PC or some players on console or even players on mobile, depending where you are having trouble with matchmaking, maybe not enough players in the region or something like that. And I think this is the problem. How do you get these people that are clearly still interested in the game, at least when it comes to watching it, how do you get these people back playing the game? This is what kind of goes back to the argument of the player base of not only PUBG, but basically every Battle Royale game eating itself alive if it doesn't have something to refresh it. And that really is the $1,000,000 question. As far as I can tell, no game has been able to do that like extremely well. They've not found like the holy grail of keeping their game alive, because the first game to do that would live on forever. Now, there are band-aid fixes to this problem that I'm going to call it. They're very like temporary solutions, and it's something that I absolutely recommend for all games. I mean, it's not something that I'm against them doing. You know, adding new content, adding new maps, marketing itself, that sort of thing is great. So we'll get more casual fans on it for a very short period of time, and then some of those will come and go. Some of those will probably stick on, which is good, but you can only do that a certain number of times before it starts to really take a toll. When PUBG added Vikendi, the player base absolutely shot through the roof, which was amazing to see. And then with Erangel Remastered, you had a very similar spike in the player base, but how long is that going to last is the question. And so what it really comes down to is, what is PUBG going to do to keep feeding and getting casual players back into this game and playing it, so just so that the veteran player base doesn't continue to eat itself? And this is where I see the problem really clearly as well for me, especially with the new matchmaking system and everything that's happened. The way that I play the game, I guarantee you I play PUBG more than the average player, I would say, right? This is basically my job, and I'm on this more than probably 99% of players total that own this game. But even so, even if I end up playing for hours at a time, my lobbies are going to be filled with the exact same people over and over again. And to be honest with you, I actually haven't even played Vikendi in months. It's not even an exaggeration. That's why I haven't seen it in the gameplay recently, just because I literally can't find a match of Vikendi. There isn't simply enough players looking in that queue. But obviously, in theory, based on PUBG's numbers right now, there should be enough players to fill up all of these lobbies, even despite there being so many divisions with different perspectives and everything like that. So what's exactly the problem? The last video I made, people have suggested the solution that they should just do away with third person or first person entirely, but I'm going to tell you that's definitely not an option, and that won't happen. These have become staples of the game, and taking away perspectives will only make this problem worse, and people will just probably quit playing. And so that, I can tell you, that's not going to happen. PUBG would literally never do that, but still something needs to be done. And another thing that I've seen very recently is people are saying, okay, West Coast servers are the answer. This will solve all the problems, or at least this will make it better. And from my understanding, what I've talked to with PUBG developers, or basically what I know about game dev itself, is that just moving a server to the West Coast, and specifically for this game, would ruin matchmaking in North America, meaning that West Coast would basically only ever play with each other, and East Coast would never even game with them. So essentially, all it's going to do is continue to make divisions and make the problem worse. You know, West Coast might have better like ping and stuff like that, but they're going to have less games and a less diverse player base overall. So as far as I can tell, the issue isn't the servers. It's not even hackers, because, you know, while that is still a little bit of a thing, they've really cracked down on that. And to be honest with you, I've had no problems with hackers in literally like over a year. So if that's still a thing in your region or whatever you play on, then hopefully they're going to get that sorted out soon. And I know they're already working very hard on that, and it's significantly improved over time. And that's just indisputable. But I think the real problem here is PUBG needs to figure out a way to keep more casual players getting on, and just basically extend the player base to just not this veteran group. Now, how you do that though exactly is a tough question, and there's not just one answer to it. And I think every game is struggling with that right now, basically to some degree. Of course, we talked about these band-aid fixes where adding new content's always great, because it'll get people interested for a short while to check out the new stuff. And so that's never a bad idea. But I also think that the only thing that I could see right now being a really good fix for Battlegrounds is going free to play. PUBG Mobile is free to play, and the player base on that is absolutely massive, which honestly is great just for the PUBG IP. But I feel like the full game of Battlegrounds, or just it on console, or maybe even the light version, I believe the light version is actually free anyways. I don't know. The best thing I've been able to come up with right now is freeing up the game, meaning that everybody can play it regardless of what you own, what you play on, or how you like to play, and partake in this experience as well. And it's not just this very hardcore group of players. We can get some actual casuals back in it to enjoy it as well. Now, chances are, if you're watching this video, then it's likely that you're a hardcore PUBG player, just because these are the kind of, like, if you're watching my video, these are the kind of players that I'm talking about. People that are actively involved in, like, the YouTube and Twitch community, and that play the game on the daily, keep up to date with all that stuff. But there needs to be a solution where the people who aren't as engaged with this kind of stuff can be interested in the game again. But even my best solution right now, going free to play, doesn't guarantee success. Like, Apex Apex Legends is free to play, and PUBG has still outlived that despite it being a paid game. And so there's a reason for that, but this is where things start to get really complicated. It's hard to figure out why, and it's hard to figure out what makes casuals want to jump back on Battlegrounds. So my fear is that if nothing is done in a long time to, I guess, get more casual players back online, and then the veteran player base is just going to continue to destroy itself and just make this very, very small group of elite players to where you can basically find no more matches, that's when the game would officially be dead. I don't see that happening for a long time to come, even if that is going to happen. It's just something that to look out for in the future, something that I kind of foresee coming a bit later. But I'm hopeful something's going to be done, maybe something that I don't expect will happen, or maybe this will have like a resurgence, and then, you know, casual players will be re-interested in this game again. I don't exactly know, but this is basically the problem that I see. And if you watching this video have any solutions for potentially what PUBG could do to fix this problem of getting more players back interested in this game, then let me know in the comment section. It's not going to be useful if you just, you know, sit back and say PUBG's dead, lol. Like, it's not going to happen, because clearly the numbers say otherwise when it comes to engagement with, you know, videos and streams and stuff like that. But it's like this player base, maybe there just is too many divisions with how many regions there are and perspectives and servers and maps. Like, I think that's what it really boils down to. And unfortunately, if that continues, then PUBG cannot physically make new maps because they can't continue to spread this player base thin, and I don't want that to happen. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. I really appreciate you all for watching, and drop a like if you guys enjoyed the video. Of course, subscribe if you are brand new for more Battlegrounds content. I'd really appreciate it. And also go follow me on Twitch, guys. That's where we're going to be streaming every single day. Link is in the description below, and I'll see you over there on the streams. But anyways, guys, have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you all on the next stream or the next video. Take it easy, and peace out.